Okay, so that's already gone wrong. Let's have a look. Do I delete that? Oh, right, okay. And Joanne pops in. So my little plan didn't work, Joanne. Do you know why? Because I'm trying to get used to all the controls here. But welcome, anybody who's watching us live. It's another episode of my little podcast series where I'm speaking to some wonderful men and women who are joining me on this journey. What is the journey, you may ask? Well, before I tell you about that, let me introduce myself properly. My name's Vanessa-Mary and I am a wellbeing coach based in Nottingham. And for the last, I'm going to say 2 years, I've been working on a very, very big project. It was like a little baby that I had to give birth to, another one. And what it was is I came up with the idea, I was actually guided to produce a Family Business Growth Summit. So we had our first event last year. And there was lots of things that happened behind the scenes. So even though it came into, let's say, the manifestation last year, I'd worked on it for a whole year before. And one of the just fantastic souls that supported me with all the behind the scenes. You can see her here. Her name's Joanne Parker. I was supposed to have been bringing her on the stage. This is my lead up to your introduction, Joanne, and it just didn't work. How are you? Can you hear me, Joanne?
Very well, thank you. Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was explaining to you before we came on the live that doing these podcasts, I think people think, oh, everything just appears. No, there's lots of controls that are happening here, and I'm just getting used to it. So I did a chat on Tuesday, and I realized after listening that I hadn't set up my scene properly. So today, hopefully I've set it up a little bit better, but then I've realized I'm not as good on the technical part. Anyway, forget about all that. We're here now. Joanne, thank you so much for being with us. Do you want to introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are and where you are live streaming in from today, please?
Yes, so I'm beaming in from East Yorkshire, near the town of Beverley, and which is probably a couple of hours up the road from where the event's going to take place. And so I'm all about communications, helping my clients to understand their message and be able to get that out so that it reaches the people that need to hear it the most for them.
Wow. And I did a post earlier this morning where I was explaining about my own fascination with communications and how sometimes I don't find the right words verbally. I like to kind of practice things, but then thinking about it, I did have a background in drama. So I think that's where I was like learning scripts and then how to present and everything. But I love reading. So I think I've been in this world of communications basically since I've been a young soul myself. But when it came to business, Joanne, I thought actually they were talking about copywriting, and then I was reading about copywriting, watching lots of videos about copywriting, and realizing that copywriting was a skill. So that's where we stumbled on each other during networking. And at that point, I was doing my first virtual event, and you reached out and said that you could assist me with that. Do you want to give us a little bit of a explanation of what a copywriter can do for a business owner, please?
Yeah, so that we can emulate the voice of the client. So it's about taking a brief so we understand the objective of what the words have got to do, and then using our creativity to really come up with a solution, a verbal solution, a written solution to that brief that sounds like the client. So it's understanding their tone of voice, their brand, the kind of language that they use, and really being able to crystallize their thoughts in a way that, you know, serves them. So we can bring creativity, we can bring our skills of persuasion, of being able to create calls to action for people. But at the end of the day, it has to sound like the client, and that's the secret, really, being able to change the way we write so that it is authentic for each client that we work with.
Wow. So I love the fact that you use the word persuasion in there. Do you want to expand on that a little bit more? Like, why do we need this this skill, this attribute of persuasion in business? How does it help us?
Yeah, persuasion really is important because we connect with people on an emotional level. So people need to be able to connect with you as a person emotionally first before they're going to buy into what you're saying. So persuasion is a subtlety. It's not about getting people to buy things that they don't want. You know, that was what people used to think advertising was all about. But it's about showing people what's available, tapping into their emotions, helping to mirror back to them what they're going through and what the solution can do to help them. So quite subtle in terms of language. But we all need some persuasion at some level. So it can be to take action, which could be, you know, to go and get some exercise. It can be to buy something, or it could be just to think about things in a different way. So when we talk about persuasion, it's about, like I say, tapping into those emotions and really helping that person, the reader, to think about what they want to do next. You know, whether it is to read something, buy something, go somewhere, or speak to somebody. So, yeah, it's just about showing them what the options are.
Ah, excellent. So yeah, I mean, you've used the word emotions there. And now I'm thinking about the last conversation I had, which kicked off my podcast series with Lindsay on Tuesday. So she was explaining how love is connected to our business, whether we like it or not. And I think it's about the emotions that we bring in sometimes from the family life. Because obviously, as you know, Joanne, because you've worked with me for such a long time, I focus on supporting family-led businesses. So these are mums and dads working together, or brothers working together, sisters working together. So we're bringing all of those emotions into the workplace anyway. But you're talking about how we're getting our potential clients and also existing clients to really make those changes that we're wanting to see, or we're kind of saying, you know, have you thought about this, through the words that we're using that's evoking those emotions. Is that correct?
Yes, very much. So, you know, they say that people buy with their emotions and justify with logic. You know, and we've probably seen that before. If you've perhaps yourself or a partner or someone you know has gone out and maybe you know, bought a car because they absolutely just fell in love with it. You know, it was like they saw it and they just had to have it, kind of thing. And it often happens with a smaller purchase as well, you know, that we just kind of, first and foremost, it's that kind of almost lust or kind of desire to have something. You know, it's like, oh, it really is calling to me, I need to have it, sort of thing. And so it's like an emotional response. And then we might sort of afterwards say, well, you know, I did need that handbag. It was, you know, it was important that I had to spend that £100 because, you know, I didn't have one to go with this outfit, or it's not, I didn't have one the right size, you know. So we can try and justify it with logic afterwards. But yes, it can be. It's how we make that connection with people. You know, we bond on an emotional level with the people that we're dealing with.
Excellent. Joanne, before we go any further, I'm not sure if where you're sitting in your office is affecting your bandwidth, because you are coming through, but it sounds a little bit choppy. So would it be possible if maybe you could go to a different part of your office and we could test the sound there? Because you're saying such good stuff that I don't want us to lose anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm on a desktop, so
You're on a desktop, right? Okay, you're not can't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so I know we've got people watching us on the live, so it would be good for any of the live viewers if they could give us some feedback. It might be what I'm picking up, or just let us know, please, if the sound quality is coming through for you, okay, whichever platform you're watching this from. So we are live streaming across 3 platforms today, Joanne. So let's see what comes back. So let's go a bit deeper into this. I want to find out. I know about you because we've been connecting with each other in business for such a long time, but let the viewer find out a little bit more about who you are. How did you get into everything? You've got such a very deep experience in communications, but I'd love to hear your story. What was the background there, please?
So I've always loved writing, really from a child. I used to write poetry and, get it published in like the school magazines and things like that. And I always thought I would be a journalist to start with. That was, what I understood really about the jobs that were available for writers before I went to university. So I went and I did my first degree in film and media studies because I thought I was interested in the media side. And that introduced me to all sorts of different things to do with communication, from the way that films are constructed, the way that camera angles and things like that affect how we're watching things. Then I got into like the nitty-gritty of kind of putting news stories together, and how the media portray those to us. So I had this real passion and interest for the news in particular. But I had a summer job working as a journalist, and that kind of showed me that actually I didn't really want to just be a journalist, it didn't quite fulfill me in the way that I thought it would. But my first job after university was in a big engineering firm in their communications department, and that introduced me to aspects of communication. So I learned about public relations, I learned about internal communications and publishing, all the different aspects. And so I found that you can have all these different jobs that involve writing, and you don't have to be a journalist. So from there, I kind of went into the next job, actually was in an advertising agency as a copywriter. And that was very much about writing copy from everything from the packet of sweets to a billboard. You literally have words everywhere. And whilst, again, that was interesting from a creative point of view, it didn't fulfill me from a client point of view because I didn't get to meet the clients. I just had to kind of sit on my desk and be given a brief. So I went back in-house, and that's where I stayed for the next sort of 30 years. So corporate communications was my thing. It helped me to work for a whole range of different high street names, different big brands, and they all had different challenges around communication. So whether they're going through change, whether they're merging, downsizing, all these different things that businesses go through. And communication is at the heart of it, particularly making sure that employees really know what's going on, feel engaged, feel kept in the loop. One of my specialisms along the way.
Excellent. I think we might have lost the last sentence, but I think you were talking about employees are also benefiting from communication as well within the business.
Yes, I think it's vital that employers make sure that their employees are engaged and kept up to date. I think sometimes people think, oh, there's nothing to say, but employees will fill the gap. If there's a void in communication, then that's where you get kind of rumors and people worrying about things. So it's always better to communicate, even if the message is there's no update
There's
today,
nothing to
but we'll have
say.
something
Yeah.
next week. Yeah.
So what we're talking about is external communications and internal communications. So,
Yes.
I mean, I'm a micro business, Joanne, as you know, family led in the sense of I work with my daughter. I've had support from other members of the family along the way, but primarily it's myself and my daughter working together. But other teams who actually have got an internal team, they're going to need team meetings. They may actually have an internal newsletter. Do you support other companies that are at a bigger size than myself, not just with their external communications, but working in-house as well to help the dynamics of the team?
I think it's so important that people set boundaries and set out their stall in terms of how they like to communicate, because, like you say, even if there's only the two of you, it's often easy to take it for granted that you're communicating effectively. But how do you separate out your mum and daughter relationship from boss and employee? It can be very different. Or are you equal partners? It could
She's
be
a partner.
different.
She's like an executive partner.
Yeah, and this can be different for people in different companies. And sometimes those hierarchies, if it's your family members that are telling you what to do, or you've got a very dominant head of the family who might be the CEO of the business, it can be very hard for people to understand those dynamics away from the kind of family dinner table. So it's very important that you set out your roles, your responsibilities, but also your communication styles on both sides, so that how people want to be spoken to, how they want to receive their information. Some people are fine with a quick chat in the corridor. Other people need comprehensive notes and need to see things written down. So it's very important that you don't take communication for granted, and that both sides have an opportunity to really spell out their preferred method of communication and how they like to be treated.
So I've written down personality types. Do you think our personalities actually have an impact on how we communicate and how we like to receive communication as well?
Yes, very much so. Yes. And I think this is something we see often in bigger teams. You'll have the extrovert who likes to think about the big picture, and will really dislike sitting down and doing something and being that what we call a completer finisher. They like to kind of just have the big idea and then leave it to somebody else to kind of finish off. You'll have perhaps a more introverted member of a team who loves fine detail, but has to be given a brief with a lot of detail, and they can't cope if you just say, draw me a picture. They need to know exact details of, what am I drawing? What should it look like? How big is a piece of paper? Can I use more than one color? They need the real detailed instructions. And then you've got just about everybody else in between. Some people are fine with a kind of a passing brief. Some people need that detail. Some people are fine under pressure. They can turn things around within a matter of minutes. Other people need a week to do things. So, yeah, our personality really does impact how we communicate and how we respond to stimuli as well. If somebody makes a comment in passing, maybe just if they think it's a simple comment like, oh, that last task you did for me wasn't quite up to scratch, and then they walk off. Well, one person can just kind of take that and go, oh, okay, I need to think about that. the next person could be absolutely wounded to the core, and will completely shut down because to them they've been really hurt with that criticism. So yeah, our personality, absolutely, we can't really switch them off in the office or anywhere really. So yeah, we have to learn to adapt.
Oh, wow, there's so much there. And I was thinking about neurodiversity as well. So I know that this isn't something that you specialize in, but again, in terms of communication, we're living in a world where neurodiversity or neurodifference, as a new term that I came across quite recently, was said, that is now becoming very important and recognized within the workplace. Is this something that you're coming across as you're working with different teams and different organizations, Joanne?
It's something that we have to be very aware of, and I think the pandemic brought that to a head as well. That how people react to being in a workplace, and why some people now prefer to work from home, whereas other people don't, because it's like, again, it's about stimuli for a lot of people. Can they cope with noise? Like I used to work in an open plan office, very noisy, lots of telephones, lots of people speaking. And yet I had to have my head down, writing words, writing content, and kind of have to switch all that off around me. Well, some people couldn't cope in that kind of environment. They need to be without all that external stimuli. And yes, other people, are the complete opposite. If working from home could be the worst thing for them because they miss that contact with people. So yes, I think we have to be very aware of these things. I've always tried to be aware over the years, when I've been writing, in terms of the language, with websites as well, over the years, always thinking about accessibility of colours and words and layouts to make sure that people can read them if they're using external readers or have different kind of limitations. So yeah, it's something I've always been conscious of. But language does evolve, and the way we interact with language evolves as well.
Excellent. Joanne, just bear with me a minute. I'm just going to press this button. I don't know if I like that. No, let's take it back. Like I said, I'm getting used to the controls. My mind was going, what will happen if I press that button? But I didn't like that one. Okay, so moving on. Moving on. Let's talk about the event. So as you know, Joanne, because you've been at the heart of it, not just again this year, but also last year, we've got the Family Business Growth Summit coming up. So it's Seeds of Unlimited Success, Saturday, the 17th of May at Eastwood Hall. Now, it was fantastic. We'd been working together in a virtual setting for about 2 years before I finally met you last year. So it was so wonderful to meet yourself and your wonderful husband. You drove over from Beverly. I've heard of Beverly before, and it was before I met you. Is there like a program or something that was set in Beverly? I don't know. But anyway, it was lovely to have met you both, and you had a stall there. So obviously you were able to speak to people about what you do, and you participated in the masterclass sessions and the rest of the event. But this year you are on the program as a masterclass leader. So you're going to be running one of the workshops, which is absolutely amazing. Do you want to give us a little flavor of what you will be speaking about in that class, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited to be having this opportunity this year to give the masterclass. It was such a wonderful event. I'm so excited to be back again. Yes, well, as we've been saying, really, communication is at the heart of everything. And I think particularly for family-run businesses, it is this thing that keeps people together. It helps to kind of drive the business forward. So in the masterclass, I want to tackle a couple of the sort of the big issues, really, how families can communicate internally effectively so that they all keep on the same page and they have the same vision and values for the business. And then also externally as well, how they can shout about that so the wider audience can hear about all the good stuff they're doing. And improve their reputation in the community. It's going to be a little taster of effective internal and external communication, and there'll be something that everybody can relate to in terms of implementing it in their business, whatever size or shape that is.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I mean, I highly recommend your services and the way how you work as well, because you said right at the beginning about copywriting is about getting the voice and the tone of the client. And I've said this about your work in other settings where we've been together, that, sometimes I'll read something that you've written about me or about the event or other things that I've done, and I'm thinking, did I write that or did Joanne write that? So you've got a very, very good way of, speaking with the voice of the client. I want to touch upon vision. Very interesting word, because again, when we're talking about family-led businesses, for me, succession planning has to be something that comes in as early as possible. I was reading a post quite recently that asked about exit plan. What's your exit plan? I was like, gosh, exit plan, like some people are building a business that they're wanting to exit. For me personally, I'm building a family-led business that, my granddaughters, you met my granddaughters last year, and I've got little Zenta, that younger members of my family can get involved in some shape or form. So the vision, it may come, and even my daughter, thinking about her as my immediate next generation, my vision might not be the same as hers. So you're correct. We need to come together to make sure that alignment of the vision and also the values, because my values might not be aligned with her values. So I'm really pleased to hear that that's something that you'll be supporting the attendees with when we get together in May. Wow. So yes, not long now. And yes, I just need to remind our viewers that because we are officially at the start of spring, the early bird prices do end tomorrow evening, tomorrow at midnight. So there's some fantastic deals available. There's different ranges of tickets, so you can come as an individual, you can come as a couple, and a couple doesn't have to mean a romantic couple. So sorry, just 1 minute. I need to go outside. 1 minute, I'm gonna have to lock the door. Zenta's trying to get back in. 1 minute. No, Zenta. Mama. Yes. Oops. The joys of working from home and home ed. Okay. So yeah, there's different types of tickets available, which means that a couples ticket, for example, I've put that together, Joanne, to give people the best deal. So yesterday I had a mother she was at the event last year. She's coming back with her daughter who works, actually her daughter's now a supplier of her business, and her daughter-in-law, and she was going to buy 2 individual tickets. And then I texted her and I said, no, buy a couple's ticket for them, and then you're going to save £37. She was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So there's different ranges. There's family tickets. There are tickets for single parents as well, because that was something that was pointed out to me last year. Just remember as well, Joanne, this event is for, and I love the wording, how you described it on the copy. This is for those of us who have a family. You might not be working with a member of your family directly, but your passion and your drive and motivation for success is because you are a mother, or you are a father, or you are a grandparent. So, our motivation to succeed in business means different things to different people. And I do find that those of us who have a family our family does lie at the heart of, wanting to be successful in business. So yes, so the ticket prices, like I said, we're on the early bird that closes tomorrow, but of course it does include lunch and refreshments. So there was a lot going on, wasn't there, last year, Joanne? And this
yes,
year,
it was a full-on day. Yeah,
well, you stayed over at the hotel as well. I mean, what was your
I did.
experience of
Yeah.
staying at the hotel?
No, it's lovely. It's a lovely venue. Yeah, the great food, great restaurant, staff are amazing. Yeah, the whole day was just glorious from start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the staff, Joanne. I mean, from my perspective as an event organizer, setting up the night before, and I was like, oh, could we have the table there? Could we have and there was no complaints, everything that I wanted assistance with, they just assisted me. So big up to the Eastwood Hall staff team there, because they are absolutely amazing. So Joanne, I am delighted that you'll be back here with us again this year. And obviously you'll have a stall again, but you'll be doing that masterclass. Plus, in the afternoon, we're going to have a leadership panel as well. So as I continue to do the podcast series, I'll be interviewing the leaders who will be coming through. So I've just twisted it a little bit this year just to keep things fresh. But anyway, Joanne, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything that you wanted to leave us with in terms of like what will people, what's one of the key takeaways that attendees can expect by coming to listen to your session, please?
It's going to be about how to ensure that people understand what it is that you do in business, and how to attract more people to come towards you. So I think we're all looking for that. So come and join us, and then we guarantee it'll be a wonderful experience.
Yes, definitely. All right then, Joanne. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I always love to find out more about what you do. And also just a quick plug for your book, because you're an established author, and you're going to have, you literally have your second book with you?
Yes, bring some copies of the book. Yeah, so we're officially a series now. We have 2 books. Yes, anybody who likes to read a family saga or a bit of contemporary romance, then I've got the books for you.
Oh, contemporary romance. Lovely. I love that. Okay, Joanne. Well, thanks a lot. And I look forward to seeing you in May in person. Thank you. All right.
See you soon.
So I'm just going to take Joanne off the stage there. So yes, you heard it here first. We're back at Eastwood Hall. Please do check out the link that I'll be posting underneath this podcast series. There's lots for you to do and see and learn and connect. It's a festival of collaboration. And this year we'll also have a virtual ticket as well. So please do have a look, and we look forward to seeing you either online or in person with us on Saturday, the 17th of May. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Bye.